Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to talk about resonances and how they can be used to add realism to some of your sounds. I know it sounds kind of strange, and bear with me. I'm going to talk a little bit at the beginning here, and then I'll show you maybe two examples. But if you want to skip over that, I'll try to mark it down below so you can do that. Anyways, what I'm talking about here when I mean resonances is if you look in something like MCabinet, which is what we're going to use, is you see these like small little ups and downs in the EQ spectrum like this. This is what I mean by resonances. Of course, this is also a resonance, but I'm talking about some of these smaller ones. These are oftentimes what give sound its character. I've been, trying to synthesize things, especially with physical modeling. Lots of times it just seems like something is a bit off or it just can't get that realism. And then when I started working with this a little bit, I was like, oh, this actually does add a lot to the sound, which you don't really notice. But when you think about it, what's happening is these are almost like small reverbs. You may not notice this at first. So if I turn these off like this, you see, okay, it's much smoother. And we look here, the impulse response. Many people think like, okay, this is EQ and impulse response, this is time, right? So this is more like a reverb. But actually, the EQ influences the time just because it's shifting the frequencies back and forth in time and in phase. So if I try to like smooth this out a bit here, you see this is smoothing here, and you see, hey, it's actually getting shorter. So now you see it's like, okay, maybe like 40 milliseconds. If I turn it back to normal, okay, now it's maybe almost like 50 milliseconds. But if I go back here like this, wait a second, this moved up to like over 100 milliseconds, 120 milliseconds, because I added some of those like sharp resonances in there. If I make them even sharper by turning the depth up a bit, a little bit more, turn the smoothing down. So there's, right now you see like there's some like sharp ones here, but if I turn the smoothing down, you're going to get even more like this. Now, as I did that, you see like, wait a second, before it was like almost like 120, now it's all the way up at like 200. And so you can see here how adding these resonances actually lengthens this impulse response and it makes it sound almost like a reverb. And it's a little bit difficult to think of at first, but if you think about it almost like a comb filter. So if you have messed with comb filters at all, you know they're just delays. And when you repeat the delay over and over again and it gets fast, that's when it starts to make a certain tone. And of course, sound moves very quickly, so it happens inside different things like boxes or rooms, etc. So inside, let's say, the body of an acoustic guitar, you play your note, the sound goes inside the body, it resonates, you get those resonances, and then the sound comes out. And so it's not just at one tone like you'd get with a comb filter, but it's like having tons of different comb filters at different frequencies at the same time. And that's what creates the sound. And that's what MCabinet does for you automatically. It just gives you random resonances like this. So you're not just getting the note C or E flat or F sharp or something. You get lots of different random resonances. And it almost sounds like a reverb, but it's much smaller and much more subtle. And this is what adds realism to your sound, just like having a body on your acoustic guitar or a body on your violin or even a piano with the soundboard and the body. Imagine you had a piano that was just like in air. I don't even know what that would sound like, but this can give you more realism. And enough of me talking about this. Let's actually get into it. So I'm going to use this, but I'm going to do it afterwards. Let's do a little bit of just sound design. Let's take some like synthesis and try to give it some realism so it sounds a bit more real. So just turn MCabinet off for a second. I'm going to try to make just a bass drum. I'm going to make a basic 808 sound using Power Synth. It's nothing spectacular, just something to kind of demonstrate the idea. I'm going to turn my filter off. FX I'll turn on later. We have a sine wave here. That's kind of low. Hopefully you can hear that. I might need to turn it up. Okay. We're going to take this. I'm going to use the pitch ADSR, and I'm going to drop the pitch. Actually, I'll raise it and then drop it. So let's try just 12 an octave at first, then we'll adjust it. If you didn't know, I sometimes forget, it has a pitch ADSR here. So take this, move the attack down to 0, get rid of the sustain, and make the decay, I don't know, maybe 50 or so. And I'll also bend it like this. Now let's hear it. I'll turn it up so you can hear it a little bit better. Okay, that's sounding pretty good. If I play low, that's all right. And I want to do the same thing with the just normal ADSR, because I don't want this to have a sustain. If I was doing hip hop or something, maybe I'd want that. But here, I don't really want that. I don't need a tail on it. So copy this, go into the normal ADSR, enable it. I can just paste it here. Cool. I'll make the decay a little bit longer and maybe turn this down. So let's hear it now. Sounding like a drum. I'm going to go in the FX section, and we're just going to add a little bit of distortion to it. I'll use saturator. I'm just doing this so it'll be easier to hear. Let's try like 12. And let me turn on the ARP just so I don't have to keep pressing the button over and over again. So there's our bass drum. There's nothing spectacular about it. I'm sure you've heard this sound many, many times. It sounds okay, but it doesn't really sound like an acoustic bass drum. It sounds like, synthesizer bass drum, which is what it is. So let's try to add some realism to it. So I have MCabinet here. I'll activate it. I want to make sure this is blank. I have this here. Nothing in here. I don't need a profile. It's completely flat. I'm not doing anything with any of the other parameters here. The first thing I want to do is just go into the resonance 1 here. I'm going to turn it on. It has stereo, so if you want this in stereo, you can do it, but I don't think I need that. I'm going to turn this off. Now I have this, and I have different modes I can do. I have A, B, C, D. You can use whichever one you want, and I recommend just experimenting, see which one sounds correct to you. I'll start with B. And one of the things I want to do here is, usually this is good here, so it has decay. So the lower you get for the bass side, it's going to have less resonances. And the same thing with treble. Above this frequency, it's going to have less resonances, but I actually don't want that for this. So I could set it, I'll just set it all the way down like that. And let's hear it. Let me turn that ARP on again. I need to turn that up a little bit more. Okay, and I can turn the smoothing down to get even more. And of course, try some of the other maybe algorithms here. E's probably not so good. Yeah. I'm liking A. If you feel like you're not getting enough of the resonance, or you want to try something else, try using another one. So I can use R2, do the exact same thing, and I can combine these together like this. I can even turn the depth down if it's like, okay, I don't want so much of that, but a little bit more than just R1 by itself. So I can try something like this. And let's hear it on and off. So you can hear it. Oh, this actually almost sounds like it's in a real space with this on. So you can use this for your bass drum. Actually, for this, maybe I'm just being nitpicky, but I feel like, you know what? I kind of want more top end, so I'd probably turn this up a bit more. And of course, you can adjust the depth using both of these, or you can even try using the wet dry. And of course, by changing the different algorithms, you can get slightly different characters. So there you go. And let's do one more here. Let's start this over on blank. Here, turn this off for now. And instead of doing a bass drum, let's try it on the opposite. Let's try it on like a hi-hat sound. So for this, we'll just use the noise. I will use the high pass filter, but I'll turn that down for now. And all we're going to do is turn on this ADSR. And to get a hi-hat sound, turn the attack to 0, turn the sustain off, and make the decay like maybe fairly short, 50. Bring this down. Let's hear it. And of course, you can move the decay, however you like. And also, I don't want the width there. And you can use your high-pass filter to get rid of some of the lows. Actually, I want to bring down the high-pass filter resonance, too. That's kind of a different type of resonance than what we're talking about, though. Okay, so not a perfect hi-hat, but I think you've probably heard that sound before. It's just like a drum machine hi-hat you typically hear. Now let's use MCabinet to give it a bit more realism. We're going to do the exact same thing again. We're going to go into R1, make sure that stereo's off, turn the smoothing down, make sure in the advanced section we turn this decay and treble down. If you open it up and you're like, where is this? Make sure you have this advanced open here so you can turn this down. Now let's listen to this. That's sounding much more like a hi-hat. Turn this ARP on and we'll go through the different algorithms. I like B the best. Now in D, we're getting a huge metallic sound. You might like that because actually sometimes it doesn't sound bad. That might be what you want. You want that. But if you don't, you can adjust the smoothing and the character and even the depth to try to get rid of some of that. Because you might want, I want a little bit of a metallic sound, but that's too much. So you can use those to kind of, get the right amount for you. Yeah, but like I said, I like B the best. Like I said, I like that. I think it probably is just the right amount of metal. But let's do R2 just to show you what it can do. And I'll probably have to turn the depth quite a bit lower for this. Now, if the resonance isn't good for your song, a way to change this is you see these little bass, mid, and treble buttons. What these will do is they will give you different random resonances. So I can do something like this. It'll probably be easier to hear with this one. So listen to it as I hit this treble. So you hear now it has some kind of like space behind it, some room, so it doesn't just sound like you're like a burst of white noise, which is what it is. If you look at the impulse response, you can see like, oh wow, it sounds like it has reverb, but it's actually not reverb. Just those resonances create a little bit of depth and air around the sound. And I'll turn it on and off so you can hear the difference. So you can hear that's quite a big difference. That sounds much more like a real hi-hat to me. Of course, probably not perfect. Real hi-hats probably have a slightly different EQ profile, and you could actually do that if you wanted to, get the EQ profile from a real hi-hat. You could probably get even closer, but I think this is actually much closer than I thought I could get to that type of sound. So try this with anything. You can even do this with things that aren't real, like synthesizer sounds, to get interesting character and things for it. So remember, MCabinet isn't just for guitar cabinets and things. You can do lots of really cool things with this. And in the future, I'll probably show more with this. I might make a part 2 of this video, but hopefully this gave you an idea of some of the cool things you can do. So if you like this, give me a thumbs up. Leave me any questions or comments down below, and be sure to check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.